seconds away on Studio 5.
On Lucy! Paddington!
This lovable teddy bear is back on the big screen.
This is perfect.
Studio 5 is taking you behind the scenes with the cast.
What was it about the story that made you want to sign on?
It was a very juicy part.
And...
Sugar?
Not exactly.
a killer's redemption story.
Mary, when you first meet her, is a stone cold killer.
The stars of Proud Mary gives us a first look. Plus,
what if I told you Jesus came to abolish religion? What if I told you voting Republican really wasn't his mission?
Jeff Bethke and his wife join us to talk about their newest project, all on Studio 5, and it starts now. And welcome to Studio 5. We're taking you inside the film Paddington 2 in just a moment. But first, let's begin this week's countdown of the best headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment news. At number 5.
Grammy winner Tasha Cobbs Leonard, her album Heart, Passion, Pursuit, best-selling gospel album of 2017.
Tasha Cobbs Leonard performs her chart-topping gospel tunes on Good Morning America.
Eyes haven't seen, and ears haven't heard the kind of blessings that's about to fall on me.
In this visit, Tasha also talks about her collaboration with rapper Nicki Minaj on the album.
Social media is absolutely amazing, and you know, God is connecting people through social media. And one day she just reached out to me and she told me how much that my ministry had blessed her life. And then she did a tweet to 90 million followers saying, "Tasha, when you get ready, send me that album and I'm gonna do 16 bars on a song for you."
At number 4, historic moments at the 75th Annual Golden Globe Awards.
Nominees for Best Actor in a TV Series Drama.
In this category, Sterling K. Brown became the first black actor to win the award.
I'm being seen for who I am, and it makes it that much more difficult to dismiss me or dismiss anybody who looks like me.
Aziz Ansari became the first Indian American to win Best TV Comedy Actor.
I genuinely didn't think I would win because all the websites said I was gonna lose.
But the most talked about moment is Oprah Winfrey accepting the Cecil B. DeMille Award, the first black woman to receive the honor.
Speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have.
That's a look at number 5 and number 4 in this week's countdown. Number 3 is soon to come. Right now, it is time for this week's Bright Spot. It's a familiar story, but I could not help sharing it again after personally seeing the film Paddington 2 and spending time with a phenomenally funny cast.
I think you're in great shape for a man your age, Mr. Brown.
Ah, thank you, Paddington.
Hang on, how old do you think I am?
Oh, about 80?
80?
At least.
Safely settled in London with the Brown family, the popular teddy bear Paddington is back for the follow-up to his first box office success.
Any pressure on you coming back to do this story again? Any concerns, fears?
Well, there's always a bit of a concern about, what they call the second album syndrome. Have you still got it? And it's lovely that people have been reacting to the second film, calling it, the Godfather 2 of family films, in that it's as good, if not better than the first. So that's lovely.
Now then, simmer down, simmer. All right, a little bit more. I'm sorry, I'm at my worst tonight, I really am. I am tickled the deepest shade of shrimp.
This Paddington story adds a few new faces to the familiar cast.
I'm going to ask one of you to come up here and open the fair. Volunteers. Anyone? Eeny, meeny, miny. Bear.
This is your first run with Paddington. What was it about the story that made you want to sign on?
It was a very juicy part. and therapeutic for me to bring out my inner narcissistic... Inner?
What's this?
Ah, that must be the popping book. Very interesting.
Really?
You see, Madame Koslover's great-grandmother, who started the fair, was also a brilliant artist. And every time they visited a new city, she made a popping book to remember it by.
In this adventure, Paddington spots a pop-up book in an antique shop, the perfect present for his aunt's 100th birthday. But a thief steals it before he can raise the money to buy it. Director Paul King and actor Simon Farnaby wrote the screenplay.
How fast did this script come about for Paddington 2?
Some of the ideas came about quite sort of quickly. We very cruelly...
We thought we'd cracked it, didn't we, in about a week? And then a year and a half later, we realised we'd finally got it right.
We had this sort of bare bones. We knew we wanted to put him out in the community and meet some neighbours, so we were excited about writing some neighbour characters. And we knew he wanted this book to get his Aunt Lucy, you know, this special present for her 100th birthday. And that was going to get him into trouble and sent to prison. That was all quite quick, but then... You know, as Paul said, it's the rest of it is the hard work.
Simply add sentences.
Yeah, simply fill it out.
And a funny fill out it is.
Please, would you mind if I call you Jack? I think I may be about to shave a customer. Oh, thank goodness. Just putting you on hold.
Paddington has been a part of our culture for many years now. Do you guys remember your first connection with the bear?
My mother read me Paddington stories every night. And as a result, I now can't sleep without one. My girlfriend has to read me. It has to be apple, glass of milk, and then I get tucked in.
My mum and dad read me the stories when I was very little, but then what became significant for me was that they became the first stories that I read for myself when I was old enough. So I had a very deep connection with Paddington growing up, and was therefore quite nervous when I heard they were going to make a movie and you know, mess with my bear.
Paddington 2 is in American theaters January 12th, and I'm telling you, you should run and go see it. Coming up here on Studio 5.
She was homeless as a child, the streets and the gangs raised her.
Your first look at Taraji P. Henson's new film, Proud Mary.
You a cop?
Not exactly.
Welcome back to Studio 5. It's time now to continue this week's countdown of the best headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment news. At number 3.
Brace yourself. Your girl's pregnant.
Based on the best-selling book, The Year of Living Biblically, CBS has a new comedy coming to television next month.
I'm a good man, but I want to be great.
Whoa. Bible. No, that's an accident. I didn't mean to get that.
Put it back.
I've decided to live my life 100% by the Bible, to the letter.
Producers say they're aiming to appeal to both believers and non-believers, and to loosen up the conversation about faith in a funny but respectful way.
Well, it all started when my buddy Ray died.
My Ray just loved you two so much.
He's in a better place.
No, he's not. Raymond is in devil country now. Area code 666.
Why would you say that?
He stopped going to church.
Oh, well, so did I.
So you'll see each other again.
At number 2.
I mean, I've been involved in scandals. You know that about me, don't you? There's been scandals in the past.
Russell Brand's raunchy comedy has made headlines over the years. But in this latest issue of Relevant magazine, the comedian opens up about addiction, sobriety, and how the message of Jesus Christ is changing his life.
So even in Christianity, Christ says, in the world, but not of it.
In the article, Brand shares, quote, "My personal feelings is the teachings of Christ are more relevant now than they've ever been." And that leaves only one more headline in the countdown. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, it is an unexpected first look for us here in Studio 5. Consider this. Mary is a successful hit woman for an organized crime family. But her life shifts when a professional hit goes wrong and she meets a young boy she's essentially orphaned. That unfolding story is why we're giving you this first look at Proud Mary.
Mary, when you first meet her, is a stone cold killer. She's a contract killer for hire. She's made a very good living doing it. Left a good job in the city. She was homeless as a child. The streets and the gangs raised her. It's something about a woman with guns. I remember when I first put on the jeans, the biker jeans, and the combat boots, and the leather jacket, and I had the ponytail, and I just remember saying, wow, I look like a black Laura Croft.
You a cop?
Not exactly.
And now this kid comes along, and she feels this need to protect him now. While Danny was out on the streets, Mary was out on the streets, you know? One of the things that's so great about their dynamic is that they're each other's redemption. If you were once a street kid, that's not who you will always be. That there's a bigger picture and that there's always going to be another plan for you.
Proud Mary hits American theaters January 12th. Up next, this video went viral.
Because if grace is water, then the church should be an ocean. It's not a museum for good people, it's a hospital for the broken.
The man behind it, Jeff Bethke, joins us to share his latest project. And welcome back to Studio 5. Time now for the final headline in this week's countdown of the best and uplifting entertainment news. At number 1. These are images from 12 Strong, the powerful new war drama starring Chris Hemsworth.
Chris, we celebrate you for playing superheroes. What's the difference in what it's like to play a real life hero, essentially?
Yeah, a whole different added pressure, you know. I mean, we met some of the real guys that we're portraying, and to hear them recount this story with such detail and honesty.
12 Strong is the declassified true story of the first American soldiers sent into Afghanistan after 9/11.
I don't care how long you're gone, as long as you come back.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4!
Every step we take is going to be on a minefield from 100 different wars.
Odds are we're not all going to make it out of this one.
If we don't take that city, World Trade Center is just the beginning.
The film is based on the best-selling book, Horse Soldiers, and is in American theaters January 19th.
The most important thing a man can take into combat is a reason why.
Be in this fight, boys, you mark my words.
And that wraps the countdown and brings us to Jeff Bethke. He is a spoken word artist. Back in 2016, his video, Why I Hate Religion But Love Jesus, went viral. And today he's still using YouTube to share inspiring messages. But now he's usually joined by his wife, Alyssa. I sat down with them to hear about their latest project in this week's Studio 5, One to Watch.
What if I told you Jesus came to abolish religion? What if I told you voting Republican really wasn't his mission? What if I told you Republican doesn't automatically mean Christian, and just because you call some people blind doesn't automatically give you vision?
One of the most powerful contributions that you made on YouTube that many people remember you for was I Hate Religion.
Yeah.
That spoken word.
Yeah.
Do you still hate religion?
I mean, yes, I mean, the crazy part is that was such a, not accidental poem, but just was born out of a place and certain context in my school in Portland, Oregon, non-Christian university. Yeah, it's crazy to think by, would I write it exactly like that? Yeah, I think I still would, and still would articulate it the same way and definitely believe in the same message, that grace, basically opposed to legalism, is what that was trying to get at, is that it's about what God does for us, not about what we do for the Lord, that gives us our standing. So yeah, definitely very much a believer still.
You guys married for 5 years, 2 children, and then you take it upon yourselves to talk to marriage experts and write a book on marriage.
Yeah.
Why? What drove this?
Go ahead. I think basically exactly what you said. I think the gap has not been bridged, or is not being bridged well, from the older generation talking to our generation, I feel like, or at least we feel like the health of our marriage, the success of our marriage, the reason that we're relatively connected and engaged in our marriage, we would say is mainly because of mentors that have poured into us. The advice they've given us, the kind of the roads they've told us to go down. And so when we talk to our other friends who are already, porn's destroying their marriage, or divorce is maybe already on the table 2 years in, 3 years in, we just kind of had this burden and this ache of, man, I don't think they're knowing how important that this is, the mentorship, the older couples. And so we kind of wanted to try to tell our story individually through dating and marriage, but then also try to get the wisdom that we've learned from older couples and pass that on to just kind of our peers and friends and stuff.
You guys are very open about struggles, which is nice to see. You were open about dealing with porn very early on. You open about a problem with food.
Yeah.
Why? Why share that?
I think we want to share it because we want to kind of, when you are vulnerable and share your story, then other people can be like, oh, me too. Like, that's my story too, or I have a friend like that. And it just makes it, there's not a barrier and there's no platform. It's just we are the same. And we know lots of people that have had the exact same story. And so we want to talk into that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would add, I think, we've even learned too, just that when you bring something into the light and you realize that the Lord gives you your standing and your identity, not your performance, your activity, whether in a bad way of guilt you felt about certain things or things you think are awesome that give you your accolades and performance as well. None of those are good, sure standing, but your identity in Christ, in His death and resurrection, is sure standing. And when you step in that and rest in that, it gives you freedom to then just share the good and the bad and kind of say, hey, this is where the Lord's bringing me. And that's what I think we wanted to do. What's up, guys? Jeff and Alyssa, we are back again answering your questions.
You are very intentional about your relationship, and I don't think many people are as intentional. We kind of just go with the flow. What happened in your lives that made you realize we need to be more intentional about what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of it was just our jobs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It was just like, it was a lot and it was really busy, and so I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And we didn't really have anyone to look up to that's in the same, that does what we do at our age. So we're like, how do we make this work? And then I think our mentors were the second biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just, a lot of times I think marriages and family, they react, so they never are proactive. It's just like, oh, okay, we're going to do this, or, and instead of setting it up like a business sometimes. Businesses are super successful. They look back at the past year, what have we done right, what have we done wrong, how are we going to grow? And I think a family and marriage needs to do the same thing. And just being really intentional to set yourself up for success. And what does your family, what are your values? What are important to you? What do you want to be known for? What legacy are you going to leave for your children? And how do you connect? And how can we meet each day or meet once a week to really connect?
Yeah, and I think the biggest lie or the biggest misunderstanding for relationships or marriage or family is that people don't realize that if you're not setting the tone and the culture and the rhythm of your home and your marriage and your life, other things will, whether that's culture, whether that's the kids, right? A lot of people don't set these things, and the kids get brought in the picture, and then the kids kind of become these little tyrants that set all the rules and set all the things, and there's a lot of different ways, but basically if you don't set those structures and those tones and those rhythms, other people will, or culture will. And one example I'll give that kind of is related about intentionality is I think a lot of marriages also believe the lie, or at least live by the truth, or live by the idea that that it's all about the kind of the end of the year big blowout anniversary that's going to save their marriage. In reality, I think it's more like, if you use the gardening picture, it's more like gardening, right? Where you don't get to eat the apple off the tree, or you don't get to eat the tomato off the vine, because you just go crazy watering it and giving it good soil for a week at the end of the year. The way you get to actually get nourished and eat food out of your garden is when you take care of it for 5 minutes each day, right? And that's what a marriage and a healthy relationship is like, is when you water it, when you tend to it, when you prune it every single day in a less crazy way. It's actually really small, but if you do that every day, that's when you actually get food back and nourishment back.
And you can find a copy of the book Love That Lasts wherever books are sold. Up next.
For too long, women have not been heard or believed.
This speech has everyone talking.
A new day is on the horizon.
We'll bring you the highlights from Oprah's powerful words. And you're back in Studio 5, where we're almost out of time for this episode. So here's a look at what we're working on for you for next week.
I'd give it all for you if you let me.
A rising country music star leaves love behind.
I'm sorry about your grandma, Josie.
Hey, Liam.
Hey, Dad.
And then returns home after being gone for a decade.
Did you know that Billy plays a guitar?
Billy.
Yeah. She just picked it up and started playing. It was like it was pouring out of her like she's been playing her whole life.
Billy can play the guitar?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Look, I'm sorry. I told her I was gonna get her a guitar. I mean, is it okay if we go guitar shopping tomorrow after school?
Studio 5 goes behind the scenes of Forever My Girl.
I didn't find out that I was pregnant until a couple weeks after what was supposed to be our wedding day.
What's going on?
That's a look ahead for next week. As for this week, it is only fitting we give the final word to Oprah Winfrey. Her Golden Globe acceptance speech has been the talk of the entertainment world. Here in Studio 5, we thought it was worth taking a look at a few thoughts shared in that unforgettable moment.
I've interviewed and portrayed people who've withstood some of the ugliest things life can throw at you, but the one quality all of them seem to share is an ability to maintain hope for a brighter morning. So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again.
That's a great word and the final word for this edition of Studio 5. Until next time, stay up to date with us at Studio 5 on our Facebook page. You can also reach out and touch me at Ephraim Graham on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And then you be sure to come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.